Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. As requested, I'm back with another part of my famous and infamous players of World of Warcraft.
Yep.
This one will be a little different because I'll have a good amount of PvPers. So maybe you can call part 3 the PvP edition, but as usual,
Exciting.
I'll have some others mixed in. Anyways, let's get into it.
I'm gonna be in this video. Here we go.
First on our list is Vertney.
Here we go.
Remember in the last video when I said that PvP in vanilla was unique because you were able to pull off some really impressive things?
Yep.
Nowadays, everyone has an answer for everything, but back then, with the way crowd control effects worked, the way engineer gadgets worked, if you knew your stuff, you could pull off 1 vs 2 or even 1 vs 3 situations. Well,
Whatever
Vertney
happened
is
to that,
basically
man?
the embodiment of that. He was, quote, the
Blizzard
PvP
doesn't
mage.
like,
He released several
deep
videos
PvP.
showcasing the potential of the mage class, mainly in world PvP
Look at all that
skirmishes, often outnumbered, outleveled, or outgeared in some cases.
Or all 3.
Wait a minute, 7 agility to gloves? Well, I guess that shows that his gear wasn't in the best shape. Hey, PvPers didn't make any gold back then, so this was all that he could
actually
afford
true.
probably.
Yeah.
He may have been outgeared, outnumbered, or outleveled, but not outskilled as you can see. Mages were cutting kings, and combined with their wide toolset of slows, roots, and throwing some engineer gadgets and special trinkets into the mix, you would see him taking out multiple people at
Fuck
once,
this, dude.
and
I
he
should
made it
play
seem
rogue.
effortless.
Or sorry, I should play mage.
In part 2, I went over just how good rogues
is
could be
great.
when they're in the right hands. Well, here he is soloing 2 of them at once. Here's a clip of him taking on a warlock, rogue, and a priest. He has both battlegrounds and world PvP in his videos. Lots of Eastern Plague lands, which was of course the level 60 zone, including the grinding spot Tyr's Hand, which held a bunch of elite enemies.
Like this
You
guy's
weren't getting
probably one
any
of the
farming done
best
that day
mages
if
that's
you were
ever played,
Alliance
dude.
and Vertney was
Yep.
there.
by
Truly,
far.
Yeah, I
one
would
of the
say
best
so.
PvP mages at the time, if not the best, and his videos chronicle a really cool time in the game's PvP history. This was when people actually did world PvP, sometimes over battlegrounds. Crazy, huh? Next, we have Piccolina, another mage here,
fuck is this?
except this one isn't known for PvP, but rather for one of the biggest exploits in the game's history. Well, either exploit or clever use of game mechanics.
The
That's
spell
up for
steal.
debate for
The
a lot
spell
of people.
I remember this.
The old vanilla raid, Nexramus, was re-released in the Wrath
Yep.
of the Lich King expansion. It was the current raid tier,
I remember
and
watching
guilds
this
were
on
racing through
Warcraft
it.
movies.
While that was going on, a very clever mage by the name of Piccolina managed to solo the entire military wing, which held the bosses Instructor Resuvius, Gothic the Harvester, and even the 4 Horsemen. Now, how the heck did a single mage solo all of this when
Yep.
the content was current?
By those debuffs
One of the
right
trash
there.
mobs had a buff called Bone Armor that absorbed a huge amount of damage. It was also a magic
This is
effect,
OP as
so
fuck,
mages
man.
could spell steal it for themselves. These mobs would continuously cast it, so you would have an infinite supply of absorbs as long as you didn't kill the mobs.
Yep.
So, that's the defense covered, but what about the offense? If you're solo, it would take way too long to kill the bosses and they would enrage, making
Yep.
the bone armor worthless. For offense, mages had another talent in their arcane tree called Incanter's Absorption. If you had all 3 ranks of this, whenever you absorb damage, your spell damage is increased by 15% for 10 seconds, which also stacked,
How
so
convenient.
combining that with an infinite bone armor made you a one-man wrecking crew. And
just
as long as you
one-shots the
didn't kill the
boss.
bone armor mobs, you could go through the entire military wing solo as a mage.
I remember this shit was so
The
fucking
only reason
funny.
you couldn't solo the
Yeah.
other wings was because the bone armor mobs disappeared when you left the wing. So, call it a clever use of game mechanics or an exploit. Blizzard themselves said exploit, and Piccolina got a 24-hour ban,
Wait,
and her
really?
loot got taken away. And bone armor was changed to where it was no longer stealable to stop every other mage playing the game from emulating Piccolina. It's
don't
one
know
of the
about
biggest
that.
exploits slash clever use of game mechanics that I remember. Next up, we have another
Fun
PvPer,
detected.
and that's Swifty.
Fun
Everyone knows who
removed.
Swifty is. Out of all of the PvPers in the game, he's arguably the most popular, and he's unique in this series in the sense that he still plays. He started way back during vanilla with his Incredible Warrior Trick series, where he would
Yep.
showcase, well, Incredible Warrior tricks.
Swifty, dude.
He had a
There it
macro
is,
that
dude.
allowed you to charge in combat, something that was impossible at the time. And as I
'cause it was
recall, he
cheating.
popularized the use of the Skull of Impending
It
Doom,
wasn't
which was
cheating.
an item that dealt some damage to the user
Give me a
and gave you a
break.
movement speed boost. Like I mentioned a few times, the CC was ridiculous back then, so this was insanely useful. And his videos were more focused on 1v1 situations. With Vertney, his focus was more on outnumbered skirmishes, and Swifty instead showcased some 1v1 situations against each class in the game, against players who were considered the best of that class on his server at the time.
Those were the days.
And you of course had the usual Warrior Wrecking Ball and Battlegrounds and whatnot. He released several popular videos throughout
It's
the
also unique that
entirety
he
of the
played
game's
Fury.
nearly
Everybody
13-year
else pretty much played
lifespan,
Arms.
and along with many other PvPers, he was reincarnated in-game as a commander in the Ashran PvP zone in the Warlords of Draenor expansion.
John Swifty.
Once again, if you're into old-school PvP at all, I highly suggest giving these a watch. And like I said, he still plays, so check him out if you're into Legion PvP. Definitely one of the more famous PvPers to have played the game. You may have heard about the Iron Man challenge for World of Warcraft. For this,
Yeah,
you
it's
had to level to the
Yeah,
max
I've heard of
using
that.
all white or gray gear, no money from your main, no grouping, and
Yep.
other crazy restrictions. Gutrot was a troll warrior that took it a little bit further. Starting in July of 2006, over 15 months he leveled to the max, 70, using no weapons or armor at all. Instead, he punched his way all the way from 1 to 70 with only rings, trinkets,
fuck?
a necklace, and a non-weapon offhand to aid him. He was the Iron Man before the Iron Man challenge, although the Iron Man challenge disqualifies you if you died, which I'm sure happened quite often with Gutrot.
What
It
the
took him a
fuck?
whopping 32 days of in-game time to reach the max, and all along the way he updated curious onlookers. When he turned in the final quest, several hundred onlookers were present and he threw a party in the low-level troll area, Senjin Village.
Wow.
The turnout was so big that it caused the server to go down a couple of times, and
Uh-oh.
in celebration, they launched a raid on Stormwind City,
Oh shit.
an army of low-level
Here we
naked
go.
trolls. Once the Wrath of the Lich King expansion rolled around, he did the same through Northrend all the way to level 80, and again when Cataclysm released to level 85. It seems like he threw in the towel after that though. The last recorded level he reached was 87 until his character disappeared, either deleted or banned.
Sad.
Pepe
Wind Fury
hands.
back in the day was
Pepe
very
hands.
different. It had a chance to give you an extra
Very sad.
attack as it does now, but from these extra attacks you could proc more extra attacks. It was a very RNG heavy thing, and one player, Unbreakable,
This
showed
is the
just how
Wind Fury
crazy it
I
could be.
want, dude.
This
This
is
was
the
the old
shaman on
sword
our list
spec,
of
too.
PvPers. He was an
worked the
orc
exact same
shaman,
way.
and combined with the legendary mace, Sulphurous the Hand of Ragnaros, he became a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I
This
fucking
was way
bet.
back in vanilla when enhancement preferred two-handers over one-handers. Remember those days? That's also when shamans were horde only and paladins were alliance only. Which one was better? It's arguable.
It's a good scene
They
there.
both had their strengths and weaknesses.
Paladins
All I
were
knew was
better and
if I saw
shamans
an
sucked.
enhancement shaman with the Hand of Ragnaros no less,
Yeah.
they would have to be top priority because before you could even blink, they would just tear through you if they got the procs.
That's
If you
just so
played back then,
ridiculous.
you're probably familiar with the countless threads calling for nerfs to Wind Fury, and Unbreakable, in my opinion,
bunch
was one
of
of the main
babies.
sources for them. I mean, for a lot of these clips, he didn't even need to use more than one ability, just a quick Wind Fury proc on his auto attack, and maybe a Frost Shock, and that was enough in a lot
Easy
of
game,
cases.
easy life.
Definitely the most bursty class in vanilla if you were lucky enough, and Unbreakable was kind enough to show us that.
I love watching
He
this video.
defines
This
the
is so
term
funny.
one shot. In the last video, I talked about the World of Warcraft series with Mute, and how he was able to take down rank 14 players naked.
Yep.
Grim showed the rogue's full potential with actual gear equipped, so
We're
you can
watching this
imagine
one.
the havoc he
This was a
wreaked.
good fucking
He
video.
was an undead rogue who had his
This
time
was a
during
great
vanilla like
fucking
many
video.
others I've listed. As per the vanilla standard, he showed off some good old-fashioned world PvP and released two videos, Total Annihilation and Path of Blood. He showed off the combat and assassination
Titling your
specializations,
PvP videos,
both
man.
very viable PvP specs. He also had some
Feels
subtlety
beautiful.
gameplay in there as well, which was pretty rare as far as vanilla was concerned. There's really not much to say
it is.
other than it's classic vanilla rogue
it is,
PvP
dude.
where you could kill people within a couple of stuns.
Rogues
Heck,
were just
even
OP
just a
as
cheap shot
fuck.
stun
This is
sometimes, depending on the
stupid.
class.
It's
Yeah, like I
stupid.
said, there was a lot of rogue hate back in
It's
the
not
day.
even fair.
And as someone who played a rogue back then, I saw nothing wrong with it. Nothing
What?
at all.
Unsubbed.
Everyone remembers the Alamo. In part 1, I
Alamo.
mentioned Kralnor and his infatuation with staves. Alamo is the Kralnor of druids. In 2005, he posted a highly detailed and intricate step-by-step guide to the inner workings of the Druid class. Titled Alamo Teaches You to Play Druid, this thread explained how some Druids can tank in bear form or DPS in cat form, and coined the phrase, "Cat Druid is for fight." The post was riddled with poor grammar and a plethora of Microsoft Paint images to accompany it. And similar to Kralnor's post, it quickly caught on and became quite popular.
I remember
He continued
this.
these posts through the Cataclysm expansion to make sure that every Druid knows how to properly
Oh
play
my
their
God.
class. These guides were popular enough that Blizzard gave Alamo his own card in the trading card game like others I mentioned before. And he also made an appearance in the April 2009 joke about the dance battle system where he was part of the Druid team.
Holy
Like I said,
shit.
everyone remembers the Alamo. So far, we've covered a couple of people who leveled to the max in pretty unconventional ways.
Yeah.
Double Agent with his urban ore gathering, Gutrot with his fisticuffs technique. Well, how about Noor the Pacifist? Unlike the previous two, he left his starting zone and he had gear equipped, but he didn't use it. Instead, he chose to level up without killing anything, the pacifist approach. If you think about it, our characters are pretty much psychotic murderers.
No.
We've killed countless people for a few silver, or just for sport in some cases.
Okay, yeah.
Noor, however, took a different approach. He avoided any quests that required you to kill anything, and instead opted for the ones that had you deliver something from one NPC to another, ones that required you to just pick up stuff, cooking dailies, things of that nature.
Seems
It
like a
took
lot
him
of
2
work.
years, but he reached the current max at the time, level 80, without killing anything, which was more impressive at the time because gathering nodes didn't give you XP and archaeology wasn't out yet. On his journey, I believe he did actually get credit for a kill on his stat page when he was doing a quest that required you to bomb a spider lair to cave it in.
Ooh.
For some reason, it counted as a mob and it gave him his first kill. Now, whether you want to count that or
Cheating
not
Andy.
is up to you though. Many others followed suit to emulate his feat, but Noor the Pacifist was the first player to reach the max with his hands clean. So, that's about it for this one, I guess. At this point, I think I covered a good amount of the most popular players in the game, both famous and infamous.
These are really
There
good.
are a lot I haven't mentioned yet.
Oh yeah.
Athene, Rekful, Ming, Pat, Lane Time, Maydai. I'll get to them eventually when I make more parts to this.
They never talk
That
about
being said
me.
though, it'll probably be a while
Nobody
since
cares
things are
about you.
starting to
What about
slow
my
down
PvP
since I've
video?
mentioned most
Shut
of the
up.
interesting ones. Regardless, any suggestions are welcomed as usual. And thanks for watching this series so far, by the way. I've had a blast jumping into all of these rabbit holes and being
These
able
are
to
so
share that
good.
with as many people as I've been able to, and it's been really fun
That's
for
actually
me.
great.
So, in my eyes, the last famous player I want to mention for now is you. Thanks a lot. As always, I hope you found the video entertaining, like it if you liked it, and thanks for watching. Peace.
Oh, he ends his videos the same way that I do. Like, look at that. Oh, you're the best part of the video. Okay, that's good.